Hey guys, and welcome to Credit Cards. Today we're going to be looking at the very fundamentals, basics of a credit card, and working out which credit card might be best for you. So the first thing, and probably the thing that you hear most about in regards to credit cards, is the interest rate. This is what's advertised, this is what they slam down your throat, 0% on purchases for 15 months. And I'm here to tell you, this is the least important factor if you're using your credit card appropriately. The reason for that is because of what I determine as the most important factor, which is the duration that your purchases are interest-free. What this essentially means is, if I go and buy a loaf of bread today for $3, that $3 is I only have to pay back $3 to the bank for 55 days. After that 55 days, the interest starts getting slapped on big time. So the duration of interest-free time is really important. But if you pay off that $3 within 55 days, this rate doesn't matter. 2,000%, 1%. It doesn't affect you. So let's compare two cards. We have the CommBank card, and let's take Westpac card. If we look at the two, we see that the Westpac has a significantly higher rate of 20% compared to 13.24%. And it's a bit harder to find the duration of interest-free purchases on the Westpac card. So make sure to do your due diligence and search around. If we look down here, it's 45 days, which basically means that's 10 days less to pay back your card before you start getting charged interest on your purchases. So, what else is important on a credit card? We've talked about the rate not being overly important if you use it responsibly. We've talked about how the interest-free duration is incredibly important. The last thing to touch on that's of high importance is the annual fee. Unfortunately, in Australia, the majority of banks and credit card companies charge annual fees for any card, no matter what it is. In America, you can get cards that are for free, that give you money back. But unfortunately, in Australia, we have to deal with this. So, what's the annual fee? Basically, you pay for the privilege of having a credit card. There's no other way to describe it. You got $59 for this one, $150 for the Westpac one. Why is the Westpac one more expensive? Well, in this case, the Westpac card offers rewards points. Let me tell you something about rewards points. They are never, ever worth it. You are not going to spend enough money to make the additional fee on this card worth it in rewards points that you earn. I promise you. I've used so many rewards cards, it's just never worth it. And if you are making it worth it, that means you're spending so much money on your credit cards. But, with that being said, who doesn't love rewards points? Makes you feel good. So, you have a card like the Discovery Amex. Yes, the interest rate is high. Does it matter? Not if you use your credit card properly. Annual fee of $0. The annual fee is something you can't avoid paying. Even if you use your credit card like a saint, you still pay the annual fee each year. So a lower annual fee is great if you're using your credit card responsibly. And an interest-free period of 44 is short, but if you do the tips that I'm about to give you, it's not overly important either. So what's the best way to use your credit card? Let's say you have a credit card and you go to the shops and you buy lunch. It's $15. You pay for your lunch, you sit down, it's being cooked. You want to transfer that $15 from your mobile app, from your debit account, straight onto your credit card. Done, paid, nothing to worry about. If you don't have enough money in your bank account to transfer it onto your credit card, you shouldn't be using the credit card in the first place. And that's the basics of credit cards. So just to recap, what's the most important thing to look out for? The interest-free duration. Then, the second most important thing, and definitely something to check for, is the annual fee. Some cards can have ridiculous annual fees, so make sure you check that. And if you scroll down further, you can get more in-depth information on the majority of websites. Now, let's go into a bit more in-depth when it comes to credit cards. The next thing to keep an eye on is international transaction fees. These are often pawned off as being, if you go overseas, you're in Japan, you have to pay a bit more. But that's not the case. You can get punished in Australia for buying off websites that have their transaction homes in overseas countries. Amazon, eBay occasionally you get this issue, and a variety of smaller websites that you buy off. So international transaction fees are really important to look at if you do a lot of online shopping from overseas areas. And essentially what these are is a percentage of the transaction that you do. So 3%, if I bought a $10 loaf of bread, you know, the guy in Japan, he really spent a long time making it, and he preserved it, he flash froze it, and he sent it to me. Well, guess what? 30 cents is going to Combank for his services, for their services, and allowing me to buy it on their credit card. Which brings me to cash advance fees. What's a cash advance? A cash advance is literally the same thing as just taking money out of an ATM, except instead of your bank account, you're taking it out of the bank's bank account. Now, this doesn't make much sense, because if you pay with your card at a place, you're kind of giving them money from your account, but it doesn't matter. Any excuse for the bank to charge you more money, they're going to take. Never do a cash advance. You shouldn't ever have to do a cash advance on your credit card, unless you're in an absolute emergency situation. This means withdrawing money out of an ATM using your credit card, or using your credit card to transfer your mate's money, or anything like that. There should never be a scenario when you're doing a cash advance. But in the unruly situation that you end up doing a cash advance, you're going to be punished with a super high interest rate that doesn't have a grace period. So you know how I'm talking about how this is really important, the 55-day interest free on purchases? That does not happen for cash advances. The second you do it, here comes the interest. And my word, do they pile it on. Cash advances are where banks make their bucks on credit cards. I promise you, it is never worth it. So, what should you do? If you're going to get a credit card, to build your credit rating, for the added security, maybe for the awards points, it's important to keep in mind the key factors that I've mentioned, and make sure that you use it responsibly, paying it off as you spend it. If you can't pay off your credit card within the time period that they give you interest free, you shouldn't have that credit card. If you guys have any more questions about credit cards, or any questions relating to the world of finance, business, how things work, please feel free to write them down below. This channel is its first video, but the purpose of it is to essentially demystify or help people understand the world of finance and how certain things work.